paper, and I wanted to learn it very well. So I had in mind, okay, I want to make a video to explain it, and the way and that's why I was able to understand how Bitcoin works.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to open up like a whole new topic. I know we're supposed to be focused on AI here.
Yeah.
But what, in as short amount of time as possible, what do you think of Bitcoin and its use cases?
I think Bitcoin is an extremely smart idea.
Yeah.
So I don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, but I don't think it's a single person. I think it's a group of people. Okay. But the way they introduce blockchain is physically impossible to alter.
Okay.
So they introduce a system where when you store something in it, right, it's kind of impossible to modify, because they introduce this chain of blocks where every chain is very dependent on the previous one, in a way that it depends on the data it's stored in. If you change something in a chain, you have to change all the previous ones, and to be able to change all the previous ones, you need extremely large, impractical computing resources. Okay. And that's the main idea. And it really goes down into one cryptography algorithm called SHA-256.
Yes.
Which, in basic format, it tries to encrypt any text into a fixed length of text and numbers. And that encryption of the algorithm is one-way direction. There is no way from looking at the encrypted message they'll be able to know the original message.
Okay.
And nobody was able to break this algorithm until now.
So far.
So they predict that it could. I mean, if you want to predict it by brute forcing, meaning that trying all the possible, you need millions of years using every computer on Earth at the moment, every GPU, every resources. So it's practically impossible to do that. But they say with quantum computing, they might be able to break it. But then there will be another algorithm. They will introduce another algorithm that is also impossible to predict.
So could they just replace the SHA-256 with a more updated encryption?
They could, yes, in the future, I think. But at the moment, they rely on SHA-256, which is hasn't been broken now. It's impossible with the current infrastructure and the computing knowledge we have. It's not possible, and it's partly like it's only one way, but it has a lot of logical operations. That, for example, I'll give you one example, is 10 plus 1 is 11, right? Mm. If you look at 11 by itself, and I don't tell you it was the result of 10 plus 1, would you know? You wouldn't know.
No.
There was multiple ways.
Yeah.
But every time I do 10 plus 1 is 11.
Yep. That's
one direction.
Okay.
Which is correct all the time. But when you go the other way, you can't really know. And this is really the essence of SHA-256.
Okay.
Doing this one direction is always correct, is always giving you the same number of characters and numbers. But when you try to go back, there's endless possibility. And that's why SHA-256 is very hard to break.
Yeah.
It works for one direction, but doesn't work for the other direction. It's all I gave you a very simple example to get the idea, but it's more complex than that with the SHA-256. But this is the idea of encryption in Bitcoin.
Interesting. And what do you think some of the practical use cases of Bitcoin will be? I know this can be a bit of a hot topic.
Yeah, this needs another podcast, I think, by itself. So I think the usage of the it's not. Bitcoin is a financial system, right? It's a currency. But I think what's really important is the blockchain.
So the technology
underlying the Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's what the really big benefit there. And it could be it could be used in